and I sat here while I bitched, while I moaned, while I complained that Netflix had turned heel on me. Give me my motherfucking episodes. Stop fucking holding out on me, you piece of shit. I want it all. I want all the goddamn episodes. And I had sat here and cursed Netflix and said, oh, they're an evil company. Well, today they may have cemented this. They may have cemented this ideology because Ted Sarandos, who is the Netflix CEO, and we're making jokes here, but this guy might technically be the most powerful man in the streaming world today. Netflix, I don't think there's a conversation to be had. I think we can all agree Netflix is number one, right? Of all the streaming sites.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
pretty.
you've heard them all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're like every time they see another streaming site opening up, they're like the proud papa. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
more
I was
for
actually going to
kids.
make a comment just now. I'll wait a second, but it's literally to the point of what we're talking about here. So go ahead.
Yeah. So Netflix and their CEO have a long history when it comes not only to starting off the streaming, but before that. If you were old enough to remember, Netflix was actually a DVD mailing company. It would be like video rental, but they would literally you order the DVD, and it's not even just online ordering. They had pamphlets. They had like these little mini,
Netflix
yeah, like in
must be
order
way too new for that. I don't.
in order to like order there were like two different versions. You could go online and you could order the DVD to your home, but again at that time, online shopping and online was nowhere near like it is today. So they used to mail out flyers and little paper or whatever, and you fill it out. You go through the magazine or whatever, or through the pamphlet. You see a movie that you want to rent or
Yeah,
whatever.
you pick out something nice,
Yeah, and you
like
go
what
to
all
the
those catalogs are for. You put
yeah,
your initial next to it, and then maybe you'll get it. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Maybe
Pick something nice out.
if you've been the good little boy or little
Hmm.
girl, you may get it. And you go to the end of the pamphlet, you put the information in, you send that out in the mail, and then a couple days later, maybe a week or so, the DVD comes in the mail to your house. I know that sounds painful to hear out loud, but that's how it used to
You know
work.
what? That is kind of painful considering they had phones. They could have definitely taken those orders over the phone and mailed it
I,
in.
I, I, I
But
don't have a memory of whether or not they did or they didn't. But
they didn't have it,
hey
or it
guys,
may.
yeah, that was
I don't know, dude. Mailing it in is fucking crazy. Yo,
yeah,
let's pick out a movie for 2 weekends from today.
yeah, exactly. I may be in the mood to watch a
Bro,
Harrison
yeah,
Ford
it's
film.
funny you say that. I'm never going to be in the mood for a movie that I picked out 2 weeks ago
By the
today.
time
That's
it
not gonna
comes in.
fucking happen.
Or
Yeah,
for some
fuck
people,
that.
it might be a happy surprise. You put in for Lethal Weapon, and then you send it in the mail, and you forget. And one day you're at work, you're having a real shit day. It's just
Shitty
like this is
day. Down
crazy.
on your luck,
Yeah, down
dude.
on your luck, you get back to the house with a brew or two. You know, well, I'm going to drink myself to death. And then you get to the house. What's in the mailbox? Lethal Weapon. You're like, oh, I forgot all about this. What a great day today's turning out to be. So you take that chance. You take the good with said bad. And yeah, so that's how Netflix used to run obviously back in the day. Today, we're living in a completely different world, as we just said. They're probably the world's leader in streaming. But the question now
Not
becomes,
probably.
well, okay, so we'll just go ahead and just say it. They're probably, I did it again. I put a fucking
See, you
qualifier on it.
can't
They're number one in
stop
the
giving these
goddamn world.
other stop giving these other suck ass streaming services a chance.
Yes.
Nah, they're number two by a long shot.
Yeah, somewhere is Disney Plus CEO crying in his hands. But yeah, so Ted had some very curious comments, and if it's okay, real quick, I want to play them because I want not the whole video, obviously. There's a quick clip that I do want to play just for context for the show, so people will understand where we're coming from and what's going on with this conversation. So this is a video that I'm going to play was not the video. I'm using the audio, but I got the video From the YouTube channel, the official YouTube channel of Time, this is Ted Sarando says Netflix saved Hollywood. That's the name of the video. It's from their Time Studio show, Time 100. They use the word time a lot in their marketing, so that's how you can find it. But here's the question being asked about whether or not they saved they're killing Hollywood, and Ted's response.
Thank you for being here. Welcome back to the Time 100. You are one of very few leaders who have been on this list multiple times, so congratulations to you.
It's an honor, an honor.
But on that cheery note, things do not look so good in the entertainment industry. The box office is down, the LA film business is shaky, people are out of work, your competitors' market share is sinking, but Netflix business is thriving. Have you destroyed Hollywood?
No, we're saving Hollywood.
You're saving Hollywood.
Yeah, look, what's the big difference of everything you just listed there is that Netflix is a very consumer-focused company. We really do care that we deliver the programming to you in a way you want to watch it, that it's programming that you love and desire. So we don't let, a lot of other outside forces get in the way of that. So an example, I think, is that you mentioned the box office being down. Just by way of example, what does that say? What is the consumer trying to tell us?
Right.
That they'd like to watch movies at home, thank you. And the studios and the theaters are duking it out over trying to preserve this 45-day window that is completely out of step with the consumer experience of just loving a movie.
But you don't just work with consumers, you work with creators, and sometimes they want to put their films in movie theaters.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig wants Knives Out 3 in theaters. Greta Gerwig convinced you to release her upcoming Narnia movie in theaters. When do you decide just to give in to someone?
Look, we have these bespoke releases, basically, for a movie to come out that we'll try to, we have to do some qualification for the Oscars, so they have to run for a little bit. It helps with the press cycle a little bit because the press likes to talk about movies in theaters too. But, I try to encourage them, every director we work with, to focus on the consumer, focus on the fans. Make a movie that they love and they will reward you. And but in general, I also realize that we're in a period of transition. Folks grew up thinking, I want to make movies on a gigantic screen and have strangers watch them and play in the theaters for 2 months and people cry and sold out shows. It just doesn't happen very much anymore.
It's outdated.
It's an outdated
So when
concept.
someone gets up at the Oscars and says, we need to make movies for movie theaters, for the communal experience, that's just an outmoded idea.
I believe it is an outmoded idea. For most people, not for everybody. There are people, if you're fortunate enough to live in Manhattan and you can walk to a multiplex and see a movie, that's fantastic. Most of the country cannot.
You love movies.
I do, and I love theaters.
So
that's the irony.
Does that bother you?
No, it just feels to me like if what would really bother me if people stop making great movies. And I think if we get trapped behind this way of how if we want people to watch them the way we want them to watch them versus how they want to watch them, then people won't be able to make movies anymore because there won't be a business for it. So like the Paris Theater here in New York, it's the last single screen theater in Manhattan. It was about to become a Walgreens, and we saved it. And we didn't save it to save the theater, business. We saved it to save the theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was about to become a Walgreens. Everything he said there sounded like a fucking personal shot. He's like, it was the last single theater in America, and we saved it from becoming a Walgreens. So,
if it's facts, how is that? I don't understand. I don't think anything that man said was. I think it's all common sense. Do you disagree?
Do I think it's all common sense? No.
Yes. All of it. And there isn't a single word that he made zero hot takes came out of his mouth.
I disagree. And can I just really quickly though about because he was just saying before about making movies for the sake of making movies for movie theaters is an outdated thought process. But yet,
100%,
he wants to hang his hat on the fact that he managed to save the only single theater venue left when that's the outdated motive. There's a reason it's the only one left. It's like
he likes it.
I'm not going to sit here and say that he's killing an industry. That opening that opening line by the interviewer was that wasn't even really a form of a question. It was more like
No,
he was
this
just
is
being a
literally
wise ass.
correlation versus causation. It's all it is. It's the giant who saw it, innovated, and now is on top because a bunch of fogies can't fucking pull their head out of their ass and they don't want things to change. And he did. So they're gonna blame him to kill it. It's like the Vince McMahon thing. He saw something different.
Right.
Everyone else was on the same page. He wanted to do something, different. He
Right.
did it, and he's the fucking villain for doing it. It's like, hey, we're all trying to be on the same page and make movies for movie theaters, and you're making it too easy for actors to have a better quality of life, especially like sitcoms. It's a lot easier for them to film for Netflix. Like they're changing the game.
Yeah, you're
and
eliminating
making it easier.
you're
It's
eliminating
annoying.
a lot of middlemen too by just doing your own.
Yes,
thing and then to
he's
the streaming
just
side. Right.
innovating. So if you want to say he killed it, then sure. But like at the end of the day, what he even said in that interview is like, look, things are changing.
Right.
People don't, and this is obvious to me, people don't want to sit in fucking movie theaters. Plus, on top of the fact that it's dangerous now, like movie theaters aren't fucking safe, is another big reason. I don't think Netflix killed it. I think it's changing, and Netflix is just the big man on campus. So they're just going to point the finger at them. But I literally feel like Netflix was just minding their own business and just elevating a company.
I'm not going to sit here and say they're killing a business because I don't agree with that. I don't. If box office, as they were saying, if box office numbers are down, I'm not going to sit here and blame Netflix because we've all had the conversation, right? The conversation of, man, I would really love to go to the movie theater to see X movie, but I'm tired. It costs so much, plus the snacks. I'd rather just stay at home and either watch something else or wait for that specific movie to hit the streaming site instead of having to go to the movies. We've all, at this stage of the game in 2025, we've all had that conversation. Believe it or not.
It's funny because literally yesterday, I'm almost certain it was yesterday, my wife looks at me and goes, you know what we haven't done in a really long time that we should? And I'm like, what? She goes, go to the movies. And I'm not like, it's funny you brought this topic up. My instant reaction without any thought was, fucking why? I don't want to travel somewhere to spend more money to overpriced to not have good snack. Like I could DoorDash some food to my house, not travel, get better snacks, it be cheaper, and I can have a meal. I'm not forced to just eat candy. I can get like fucking Chinese food and candy. I don't got to worry about anybody else screaming except for my own kids. Like, why the fuck am I doing that? What, to see Snow White? Fuck off.
Okay, no one's going to do anything for Snow White, but
my point is
and I'm glad that's your point.
Beginning, yeah, well, let me make this last point. In the beginning, he said something that jumped out of my mind with that is like we're listening to the consumer, and I know he was partly talking about like people going to the movies or wanting to watch it in a different way, but I also feel like we don't let the outside really dictate what we do when it comes to like what we do in-house. And I think that was a shot at all this shit very similar to what was happening with Snow White.
Right. Yeah, they're not gonna, no business should. Nobody should be. I know, but they shouldn't. Because
Hollywood is killing the movie theaters is the point.
Yeah. So the reason why I said that there was some controversial takes in there, first and foremost, his position of power and where he stands on the food chain when it comes to the streaming industry, and to hear that he has this thought process that movie theaters in and of itself is an outdated, outmoded thought process is kind of concerning, because your point and everything that you just said is very much true in how you feel. I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I don't want to watch movies at home. Not the ones that I really want to watch. There are some movies where I'm like, if I'm 50-50 on it, I'm like not really that crazy about it. So maybe yeah, I'll watch it at the house. But for instance, you just said that you and Nora haven't been to the movies in like forever, right? The movie theaters. I'm currently sitting on purchased tickets. I'm going to be there Saturday. It's opening weekend. It's the Thunderbolts. I got to be there. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like that's where my head is. So to
Yeah,
hear,
but to your point, there are people still in their house, or even today, going to a record store and buying vinyl records.
right, exactly. That's where I'm headed with this.
To
Go
me,
ahead.
I think what you said about the movie tickets
Yeah.
to me is kind of the same thing. It's becoming more of like an antique enthusiast thing to do rather than the way to actually take the media.
Right. And that's actually where I'm taking this because the one part that he said that I had such a tremendous disdain because he said it was that he looked at the box office numbers and he says, what is that evidence? What is that number trying to tell us? Well, it tells us that they don't want to go to the movie theater, they want to watch it at home. That's horseshit. That part is 100% horseshit. That's not true at all. I'm not going to eliminate all factors in saying that there aren't people that do it regardless. Regardless of the movie, I don't want to go to the movie theater, period. Right? I'm not going to exclude that there's a large group of people that feel that way. But I have a gut feeling that the reason why those numbers are as low as they are, and they are low, and people are losing jobs, and theaters are closing up, and as he said earlier, becoming the Walgreens. Yes, all of those things are happening. But it's not because solely that they just don't want to go to the theater. It's a large part of that is because there's nothing going to the theaters that they want to go see. This is just a different thing. You brought up earlier about like music, about like how it changed throughout the years as far as how you consume your music. Yes, the music was still good for a long period of time. Every generation has that period of music where you have your ups and your downs, and though the media format may have changed, the music kind of stayed somewhat consistent. Movies, or the process of movie making, we now have actual evidence that the process in which it takes to make movies has completely changed. And I want to play another clip. This one's a lot shorter. It's only a minute and some change. This is Matt Damon explaining the differences in movie making that has happened over the last few decades, and his role in that, because he's not just an actor, he literally makes movies. He was on the Hot Wings, and they asked him about that, about the ideology of how the format, the way they make movies change. Listen to this.
So I think a scenario lots of viewers can relate to is sitting on the couch on a Friday night, going through the streaming services, cycling through the movies and thinking to themselves, they're not making movies for me anymore. As somebody who's been intimately involved in movie making for 30 years, what are the macro Hollywood conditions behind that sentiment?
Well, so what happened was the DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream. And technology has just made that obsolete. And so the movies that we used to make, you could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release. And 6 months later, you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost. And when that went away, that changed the type of movies that we could make. I did this movie Behind the Candelabra, and I talked to a studio executive who explained it was a $25 million movie. I would have to put that much into print and advertising, right, to market it, what we call P&A. So I'd have to put that in P&A. So now I'm in $50 million. I have to split everything I get with the exhibitor, right, the people who own the movie theaters. So I would have to make $100 million before I got into profit. And the idea of making $100 million on a story about like this love affair between these two people, yeah, I love everyone in the movie, but that's suddenly a massive gamble in a way that it wasn't in the 1990s when they were making all those kind of movies, the kind of movies that I loved and the kind of movies that were my bread and butter.
So what happens now is that they are changing the way that these things happen. And it's still, even with that change, it hasn't hurt the box office altogether. Overall, as an average, yes, the box office has suffered. And overall, yes, there has been a drop in attendance when it comes to movie theaters. So that's not just movie tickets. That's also concessions. That's also all kinds of different things that people pay for with the movie passes and all that stuff that the movie theaters don't get. But I had a conversation with a buddy of mine when I was coming up with this subject to talk about, where he doesn't go to the movie theaters often. He's a lot like you, where I'd just rather watch it at home. This is a coworker I'm talking about. And he's a lot like you. I'd rather just watch it at home or whatever. But his girlfriend drags him to movies all the time. And she's into all the cool shit, Marvel and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, he had brought up a good point. He goes, all I ever hear is that the movie theaters are dying, but every time I'm in them, they're full as fuck. Like, I'm having a hard time getting the fucking ticket. I thought the box office was fucked up. So it made me think, and we looked this up together. That's why I wrote the stats down. I actually organized it just for this, and it's only going to take a second. But I had mentioned to you in the rundown that of the top 20 box office films, the top 20 grossing box office films of all time, not just in a few years, but of all time, right, is 1 through 20. It's Avatar, Avengers Endgame, Avatar, The Way of the Water, Titanic, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, Avengers, Infinity War, Spider-Man No Way Home, this new Bollywood movie, Nisa 2, Inside Out 2, Jurassic World, The Lion King, The Avengers, the first one, Furious 7, Top Gun, Maverick, Frozen 2, Barbie, Harry Potter, and the Deadly Hallows Part 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, The Super Mario Bros., and Beauty and the Beast. Yes, granted, there's a lot of franchises in there, and there's a lot of Marvel in there, but I'm looking at the years, okay? Of that 20, 16 of those movies were released in the last 10 years, 7 of the 20 has been released in the last 5. Now, I know people are going to say, whoa, right? That leaves 4 in the top 20 that were not in the last 10 years or so. They're older movies. You're not counting inflation, right? Those movies probably would have made more if they were charging for movie tickets that they charge now, which is a fair point. But you have to remember something. Let's go back to the last year's list. 7 of the 20 top movies of all time were all released in the last 5 years. That's 2020 to 2025. Avatar, The Way of the Water, Spider-Man No Way Home, that Bollywood movie, Inside Out 2, Top Gun Maverick, Barbie, and Super Mario Bros. You can make an argument that overall the average has fallen, but these 7 movies still managed to do great numbers during the course of years that it should have been dead. Avatar, The Way of the Water was 2022. Spider-Man, 21. This Indian movie came out this year as 25. Inside Out last year at 24. 22, 23, 23. There are other movies that came out during those years that did not do that well in the box office, but it doesn't mean they did terribly. We have instances where we have had high number, but unlike in the 80s or the 90s where you had Murderer's Row, right? You would have Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, all these motherfuckers in the movies at the same exact time. So those numbers look good together. If you go year by year, you'll see an average of really good years. This is where it hurts today's generation because you have the Mario Bros. With 1.3 billion generated in 2023. The movie that's above it, Barbie, 1.4 billion, also 2023. That means everybody was at the movies for these 2 movies. Which means my greater point. I don't necessarily think it's entirely just access and convenience. For people like you who, I have another option, this is better for me, I get it. I understand. That's why I don't put this all on Netflix. I don't really put anything on Netflix. They're supplying a demand. There is a lot of people who just don't want to go to the movies, period. They don't give a fuck what's in it. And this is an option for them to have that. I don't put the blame on Netflix. I put the blame to Hollywood. Hollywood is killing itself because these movies prove that if you can put together at least a coherent story, some star power, some marketability, they'll go. The numbers are here. They'll go. But when Super Mario Bros. And Barbie are only 2 of 8 movies that are out and the 2 are all-time greats, and the 6 are we don't even remember they were in the theaters where they were in there. That's what hurts. There's no variety. It's either it makes a ton of fucking money or it goes into the dirt. The Sinners movie just came out this past weekend. They had a $60 million opening week in box office, which a lot of the producers in Hollywood were retweeting and promoting how great that was for an original concept, an original movie, not based off of a franchise, not based off of a book, not based off of anything. It's just a concept that they came up with that is being praised right now on the internet, praised on television about how good that movie is, and it only made $60 million. And I know people are going to say, well, that's a great number for an original story, and it is. But in an age where Super Mario made $1.3 billion overall, and Sinners are only going to be out for another few weeks, I mean, maybe it'll get to $200 million, there's a drop-off there. I don't necessarily think that it's just the convenience of, well, Netflix is giving you not only the content that you like, not only the content you're familiar with, but they're also giving you original content. They're giving you live programming. I already had the subscription, but now they're giving me my Monday Night Raws on there. So like I can understand the pull, and it's gonna get worse.
It's gonna get way worse.
The more shitty movies they make, the more it puts Netflix into a Netflix. If it left up to me, they don't even need to promote anymore. They're Disney. They're Coca-Cola. They're in that stratosphere at this point, and the movie industry is only going to make that worse over time. He said in the video that Netflix looks for the 4 C's. This is something that they use as a criteria in which they create their business model. The first C being content. They want to make sure the content is good, that everyone could agree that it spreads through genres, or whatever jargon he was throwing out there. 2, choosing. Make it so that it's an easy choice. That's why they came up with the recommended engine, the recommender, based on your viewing habits. Here's something else you may like. Here's something else you may like. And sometimes it's good. It'll lead me down the right path on Netflix. I watch one sports documentary. All of a sudden, I got 8 recommended to me. Gimme. Love it. My wife watched one Korean drama, and now her whole fucking Netflix recommendation is fucking all Asian, no dub, no nothing, just straight all the whole thing. Oh, that's all she gets. So they've used it for good and for evil. 3rd being conversation, getting people talking. Right, that's an easy one. And then commerce. He said if you do the first 3 right, the commerce will come. That to me, am I bugging? I'll ask you. 4 C's: content, choosing, conversation, commerce. That just sounds like regular ass business. That doesn't sound like some sort of secret recipe.
Everything this man said is business.
But
I don't understand.
But it sounds like bare bones. Like this is like basic business, isn't it? Have
No,
good
this ain't
content.
bare bones, man. This is high end. This is top shelf business. He can sit there and say we care about the consumer, right? And he is correct, but he's not talking directly to the consumer, because he says he doesn't let outside influences influence what they do.
Right.
What he's doing is he's sitting there with a spreadsheet and he's tracking data over time and he's watching your behavior, and
Closely.
he's just going to give you what you want with the stuff that you do. This is high-end business. The most successful companies in the world all do this. He's just saying it in a very smart way. He's not saying that directly, but this is, you guys want this. You can be butthurt. You can point fingers all you want. You can come up with whatever cool phrase to blame me as a victim. At the end of the day, the data shows this is what you want, so I'm going to give it to you.
And that's the thing.
And he'll never be wrong for that.
I think he's reading that wrong. I don't think it's 100% the way that he's seeing the box office numbers and just goes, oh, they just want to see it at home. No.
Yeah.
No. I don't understand why both can't be correct.
I think
he's already saying
correct.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're like making his point at the same time. Is like, I think both are correct, but at the moment, it's not his. When he says he's saving the theaters, I think people, not you, but like I think some people might think like, okay, well, you're not saving the theater because you're not putting things in the theater. And what he's saying is we're saving the theater because we are making movies that people want. So all you have to do is do what we do and put it in the theater.
Do better.
That's it. That's it. That's literally it.
And
just do fucking better. Stop making stupid ass movies that you think people who cry on social media are gonna come out and support you, and they're not gonna fucking do it. And the data shows it. So until you fix that, I'm gonna keep making money over here.
And
he's not in the business for the theaters.
And the clip I just played of Matt Damon is a clarifying reason why some of these studios don't take the risks that they used to take. They're putting themselves on a time crunch. How many times have we heard movies get criticized because the actual CGI workers, the people doing the CGI for these movies are like, we were rushed. Like we didn't have the time to put together the way we would have put it together. The story's not fleshed out. There's a bunch of last minute changes. They were just putting out a product to put out a product. And that negativity has now spread to the Marvel films too, because the Marvel films also, like the movies that I just mentioned, top 20 of all time, these are all from the Infinity Saga. Nothing past. I think the last movie to be released that's on here is Endgame, and Endgame came out in 2019. So there's no Marvel movie on here with the exception of one, the Spider-Man one with all the Spider-Mans, and that's because they had to ball out to get that momentum back. When in doubt, call Tobey Maguire. No shade on Andrew, but come on, we all wanted to see Toby. They pulled out all the stops, and now they're looking like they're going to do that again after this weekend when I see Thunderbolts. I will let all of you know how that goes. But yeah, your point right there is like that's what I was trying to say too. Is that I don't blame Netflix for the death of Hollywood. I'm blaming Hollywood for the death of Hollywood. But he's going to sit here with his hat in his hand. Like, no. I want them to make good movies. That's what we need to do. Everybody needs to just make good movies, and then we'll be all right. I'm like, that's, you didn't cause the death of the animal, but you are picking at its carcass.
Absolutely.
And so it's just,
if you don't, someone else will.
That's the Vince McMahon argument, right? If I didn't go national, somebody else would have went national.
Somebody else would do it.
It was right there. It was right there.
And guess what? Same thing. Look, I don't mean to get in my Vince bag today, but you can compete.
Look at you defending a pervert. No, go
Listen, hey, you can compete. Say everything, any human, you sitting across the microphone right now who I'm talking to, you can compete. Anyone can compete. The problem is obviously the money and stuff. Hey, you can compete. This dude started by having you send him fucking requests through the mail. You better start sending them fucking newsletters out. The mail still exists. Get it done. You got a problem? Compete. If not, it is what it is. Listen, it's the same thing that's like what's going on in the gaming world right now. AAA is trash, and you have fucking video games like Schedule 1 that's exploding in popularity, and their Steam numbers are through the roof, and it's made by like one dude with the support of 3 other people who specialize in something that he paid for some help. But other than that, the entire game was made by one guy, and he is doing way better than like AAA games are doing by himself. It can get done. It's just they want to pump out these money machines really fast and try to make this money quick. So they employ all these people to because they expect the kickback, and it's just not happening anymore. People aren't doing that shit, and they're not putting up the competition. If anything, he probably is saving, because if someone actually does want to compete and get people back, they have to compete against them. They just can't put bullshit out and expect people to come to it. So keep rocking.
I think that ends up being the end result of this whole conversation. If you want to stop Netflix from killing you, fight back.
Beat them. Yes.
Fight back, because he's letting it known right now he ain't stopping. It's going to get worse from here. So
not only did he say he's not stopping, he's on your team.
Oh, yeah, he's a theater lover.
Yeah, I love it.
He's trying to save it.
I encourage all of my guys to go into theater for
wait till he
I can qualify for the Emmys. I will need everyone to do it.
Wait till he gets live sports.
Oh, dude.
Oh.
Listen, I said it before Raw got there, and I didn't even get to do it myself, and I was completely right. And this isn't a hot take. Just start dumping. If you haven't started already, you think it's too high. I promise you, it's gonna get higher. Keep putting your money in Netflix. Netflix is like the entertainment version of Google, man. I'm telling you. They're going to take over all of that entertainment shit. Live TV, Raw and SmackDown is going to be on it inevitably.
Yep.
All their pay-per-view, everything they do, all the stuff they're working on is all going to be on Netflix. Few years.
Netflix will be the new Disney soon.
Everyone needs to be putting $20 into Netflix today for the rest of your life until you'll die. You'll be fine.
Your kids will be fine.
Your kids will be fine. Yep.
All right.
Absolutely. That's what I'm fucking doing. I'll lend you $1 if you need it.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah. It might take like 2 days for the stock to clear, but I can get you a couple of dollars.
We'll get there. Keep an eye on the stocks.